Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is my November beauty roundup. We only have one more of these to go after this. It's getting to the crux of the year. Apparently that's what we're going with. We've said it now, we can't take it back. I could edit it out, but when have I ever done that? It's been slim pickings in November, but the pickings were spicy. Slim, but good. So we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. All of my thoughts on everything new that I tried throughout the month of November. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to kick off before I forget, because they're not in front of me, these Oysho leggings. Mine are in the wash and they've barely been off my body since they arrived. I gave you guys a heads up about this on my Instagram stories. I also talked about these in my winter favorites because they have changed my life, particularly on football Sundays. Okay, we're currently standing in very Baltic temperatures and quite often lashing rain, while wind is ensuring it's blown directly in your face. What a time to be alive. But I will never miss a game, okay? I absolutely love it, as much as I may joke about the weather sometimes, although we have been exceedingly lucky so far. Just touching wood there, if you weren't sure. I love nothing more than watching my children do the things that they love and that they are so good at. I love it. I wouldn't miss it. But now I don't even have to worry, because these leggings, I ordered these because they had the words extra warm in them. And they were a legging, and really leggings are the only trouser option when it comes to football, because it's muddy and wet. You can't, like I did the other week, wear long trousers unless you want the bottom 6 inches to be soaked and covered with mud by the time you're finished. You must wear leggings with boots. That's your only option. So I ordered these as they had the words extra warm and fleece lined in the description. What more could you possibly need to know? And when they arrived and I slipped these on, my legsies, let me tell you, my jaw hit the floor. They feel unbelievable. They have barely left my body. I've already ordered a second pair that is coming today, so I can never be without them again. When one pair is in the wash, the other pair will be on my legs, and that's what we're wearing for the rest of this, not even this year, but until March probably. They're so warm, so cozy, so comfortable, delightful. Get involved is my advice to you. Next up, I wish to introduce you guys to my candle. You may have noticed her perched. She's usually just here, yonder, in this exact gap. You may have noticed her, you may not. I can't decide that for you. But this is a Potts candle. Oh, I've been lusting after a Potts candle for a while now, and I just couldn't decide. That's why it's taken me so long to order one. I just couldn't choose. So these, if you're not familiar, you essentially purchase one of these absolutely delightful stone pots, as the name would suggest. And then you choose your candle. They come in all different sizes. I picked the Whopper, or the Whooper, as my son would say. I picked the Big Daddy. I won't lie to you, I wanted it to lovelily bless this space, and I wanted the biggest one. So I went for the Fir Grand Sage candle. I haven't even lit this yet. I've actually been scared to, because I don't want, I know this is ridiculous, I'll have to light it eventually, but I feel like I don't want to ruin it. It looks so beautiful, I don't want it to be all melted. But I know that's silly, but let me tell you, without even lighting this, it is filling half of my first floor with its delightful scent, and it's just so beautiful. I love everything about this company. It is a UK-based company, female-owned. Everything is handmade by UK potters, master potters, who create these individual pots. They are refillable, so they're designed to last a lifetime. It's sustainable, it supports local independent businesses and also potters. Everything is hand poured and everything was made with 100% natural essential oils and sustainable fragrance oils. I love everything about it. They do sets where you get, you know, a candle and a pot and also a beautiful little pot of matches. Everything about it, the touches are stunning. The way this arrived, the way it was packaged, I wish I'd saved it to show you, but it's beautiful. So an amazing gift idea. One day I will light mine, I promise, and I'll let you know how she's burning. But like I said, this is filling the whole room and several other rooms next door without even being lit. Let's put her back where she belongs. Okay, so moving on, we've had a plethora, some would say, of Sonia G brushes in the last few weeks. Some of them have rocked my world and everything I knew to be true. First of all, the Oval Hybrid. This is now my favourite ever cream bronzer brush, and it has only replaced the previous one from Sonia, the Sheer Buffer. That was my previous favourite. This I like even more because of its sort of narrower size. It allows me to keep my bronzer a little closer to my hairline. It allows me to make a bit more of a sculpted bronze, which I really like. It's just perfect. It applies so delicately and it gives you this gorgeous natural wash of bronzer. It's so easy to use, it's so quick, and it applies it diffused, so you don't have to blend really. The brush is applying the bronzer blended, pre-blended, if you will. It's an amazing little brush. I like that it's small and diddy. This will be perfect for taking when I travel, because I like cream products when I travel because they can't break. Well, I'm sure they could, but they don't smash to smithereens like powders. And this brush is going to be perfect. You could also use it for cream highlighter, cream blush. You could use it for foundation, I'm sure. It's a real little workhorse, but for me, for cream bronzer, this is as good as it gets. And that is a little set. I think this was the little set. Soft concealer was the other part of this little duo. This, for me, I know it's supposed to be a concealer brush. I've been loving this for cream and liquid shadows and also for prepping my eye for eyeshadow with my little pot concealer that I use. It just buffs everything in and it gives you like full coverage with a tiny amount of product. Again, nice and diddy size. But I've saved the greatest till last because the arched powder brush, it's ridiculous. This instantly became my new all-time favorite ever powder bronzer brush. Again, replacing another Sonia G as my ultimate favourite. She's so good at bronzer brushes, and yet she somehow just keeps getting better and better and just somehow gazumping herself over and over and over again. When you think she's perfected the ultimate dream bronzer brush, she somehow makes an even better one. This is my favourite by far. What I love about this is so ridiculously soft. You can barely feel that you're touching something. That's how silky it is. What I think is different about this brush, particularly in comparison to some similar size and shape brushes from Sonia that she's done in the past, is that this is airier and lighter to me. So it applies bronzer in a really soft, buildable way without it ever being too much or applying too much or it being too heavy and then you having to blend it out. It applies it so naturally, and just like the Oval Hybrid for cream bronzer, this applies in the same way for powder bronzer. Even some of the most pigmented bronzers I really have trouble applying lightly and not going too heavy-handed. This controls them. I do have very heavy, large hands, okay? Swimmers, breaststrokers in particular hands. They're big. They're as big as my husband's, who's 6 foot tall. And I am whacking product on willy-nilly about the place. This allows me to have a pretty diffused soft wash of bronzer with no effort that I can build on, and it's the perfect size and shape and width that it applies it in the perfect strategic location. Just like the Oval Hybrid, it applies a more sculpted bronze because it's got that gorgeous tapered shape. It's just perfect. I'm head over heels for it. My all-time favourite bronzer brush. And that brush came in a little set with the Set and Sculpt, which from the name I'm assuming I'm supposed to be using this to set my under eye concealer perhaps, or to sculpt out, you know, a bit of shaping in various places with contour. I've been using this for blush and highlighter, which I do love it for because it's so precise and it has this gorgeous tapered top to it that allows you to really apply highlighter very softly. But I love this for blush because I need to keep my blush quite, it's hard for me to keep my blush away from the centre of my face because I've got quite a narrow face. I don't have a lot of space to work with, so it's easy for me to come in too far. This allows me to apply blush and keep it where I want it to, even when if I'm really blending and diffusing and giving a good wash of blush, it still doesn't end up in too large of an area because it's so diddy. Such a versatile brush. Of course, that's not the intended use, but it just goes to show how versatile these brushes are from Sonia and how many different jobs they can do. Next up, let's talk about Bobbi Brown Holiday. So Bobbi Brown sent me a few items from their holiday collection. First of all, this eyeshadow palette, which I did use in my makeup and movies video if you want to see it in action. I do like this. I just don't think it's as special as last year's. I prefer the packaging of last year's. I think the shadows are a little more intense in last year's and prettier, and the colour story is a little cooler, so therefore a little more unusual. This just feels like such a done colour story and it doesn't wow me as much, and the packaging isn't quite as special as last year's. I do like it. I think the formulas are good. The mattes are effortless. I think Bobbi Brown has really underrated eyeshadow formulas. They're very nice, lovely silky mattes, really pretty shimmers. I really just feel like the colour story is not exciting enough for this time of year. The packaging is not exciting enough for this time of year. You know, you're competing with something like this. Even last year's palette was so much more festive and it just felt so much more impactful and festive and pretty and different and special. And this one just, it feels a little flat, a little fine, and I just don't think it's exciting enough, especially not during the Christmas season when everything has got everything thrown at it, glitz and baubles and twinkles. Oh my, that for me just, it feels like it's getting a little lost and it doesn't stand out as being something you must have in the sea of releases around this time of year. However, I will say this little duo, which should be much less exciting because it's only these two shadows, but I think the packaging, although it's the same design, it's somehow so much prettier just being the gold, and it feels like so much more reflective, and I think it just works much better as a holiday release being gold. And it's so pretty. These colours, so pretty. A little easygoing duo that, you know, it can take you day to night so easily because you can just whack on the more subtle sort of mauvey shade and then add the twinkling shade on the lid when it's time for your wax Christmas do. It's just so effortless and pretty. I much prefer this. You know, if you had to choose between the two, I think this is the prettier, more special, more fun wow factor as opposed to the larger palette, which it should be easier to be a wow factor as a bigger palette. But for me, that little duo is just perfect. Ideal, gorgeous little stocking filler as well as a gift for someone, but uber wearable, but still really pretty. And it feels to me a lot more special, a lot more festive. Next up, Jouer sent me this palette, which I was so excited for. I was a little confused why it wasn't bronzer, blush, highlight. We've got bronzer and two blushes, and they are glowy blushes, so for sure you could go without highlighter and just wear the glowing blush. But I was still quite excited because the colours did look right up my street. I don't love this. Oh, I wish I did. I really wanted to, but I don't. I feel like the packaging feels very light and flimsy, lightweight, and so I don't love that. I don't feel like it's something secure that you could travel with, which for me, cheek palettes, I love to travel with. It has everything in there that you need, whereas this it doesn't feel weighty enough. It doesn't feel like it would protect. It's very light cardboard. I also do wish that we had bronzer, blush and highlight so that you could, you know, do everything that you need to do. But I still felt quite excited to try it out. When I swatch these, they do feel quite dry and they really are lacking a bit of pigmentation, I would say. Everything is quite light. There's not a lot of impact or pigment in the shades. The bronzer is okay. It's uber warm. I will show you a close-up in a minute. I'm just going to build up this swatch because you can barely see it. I mean, building it has really done nothing. It just doesn't really build. I do like the peachy blush. I don't love the pink. It sort of has like a gold shift to it, which sort of throws it off a little bit on me. I do like the peachy blush, but you don't really want to buy a whole palette like this for the one product inside. That's a waste of money. So let me show you close up. Do you see how orangey that bronzer is? It's almost as peachy as the peachy blush. You know, both these blushes really quite light, need a lot of building. They do have a nice glowy finish, but there is quite a bit of sort of visible shimmer in there, which does emphasize the texture, but they do feel super dry, even though this is like a week old, this palette. So I feel like it may dry out more with age, and it will end up hard panning quite quickly. That's how it feels. It's quite hard pressed, and I just feel like this sort of product, there is a lot of competition out there. You know, the Hourglass palettes I would choose 100 times over the Jouer. I do understand there is a large price difference, but I just think as far as the finishes and what you get for the money, I would much recommend picking up an Hourglass palette in the sale. They are, you know, I talked about the Hourglass palettes being in the Cult Beauty sale, like 20 plus pounds off at the moment over this one. I just feel that we're lacking a bit of pigmentation, we're lacking a bit of cohesiveness, as we're missing a highlighter. The bronzer is uber warm. The finishes I like, but they will be too glowy for a lot of people. It's just it's close, but it was a swing and a miss for me, not quite what I wanted it to be. And I really did want to love it, but it does, you know, I'm swatching it now, it feels very dry and it kind of looks that way on the cheek, which is hard for a glowy finish product to do. It sort of looks a bit dusty. I feel terrible. Especially as this was gifted to me. I can only apologise, and it's not, you know, representative of the whole brand. It's just that this product for me just wasn't quite what I was looking for, and I'm so sorry about it. Next up, let's talk about the Hermes Rocabar blush, and I want to show you this close up because I've been using this to death, and because it is quite light for my skin tone, when I do use this, I am applying till the cows come home, and I'm having a delightful time doing it. So I do build this quite a bit. If you are deeper than me, bear in mind this is barely going to show on you, and you will spend 10 minutes building it up, but you know, I have a lovely 10 minutes while I'm doing that, but it is very subtle on me, and it does take quite a bit of building, hence why it looks like this. And I want to show you close up so you can decide if you care, because if you're going to use this, this is what it's going to look like quite quickly. Now, it's not that it's disgusting or anything, but you understand it does not look perfect for very long. It does not look like this beautiful, elegant design for very long if you are going to use it with any regularity. So I just want you to understand the reality of these products, you know, with these beautiful embossings and printings and pictures. They don't last very long if you actually use the product, but that aside, I love this blush so much. On paper it should be a bit too pinky for me, but I love it. It just gives the most glossy, stunning cheek, and I talked about this in my winter favourites. It's somehow quite wintry to me. It really does pull almost a little frosty because it's so glowy. If you don't like a glowy cheek, or you don't like a glowy blush, this is definitely not for you, because it just gets glowier and glowier the more you buff and the more you apply. And there's just something so pretty about this. You can see this is a blended swatch, so subtle as far as the actual blush on me, but I do build and build and build it, and it just is, it's delightful. It just gives me the glossiest, frostiest cheek. I'm actually wearing last year's Hermes blush today, the limited one, what was she called? Rose Hale. I love them both. I love the finish of these blushes. They're so pretty and special, and you do get a very large amount, although it is you better for the price point. But I'm still head over heels in love with last year's and now this year's. Shame on me, because the price point is an absolute travesty. Next up, Nars also sent me their holiday collection, and this is what I'm talking about when it comes to like holiday packaging. This is what I'm I need. And Nars never really gets it wrong, and I feel like they're back. They've had a couple of years where I didn't love it as much. They still threw everything at it, but it just wasn't my personal preference. And now we're back to Nars's heyday of holiday packaging. These blush palettes always tickle my pickle. I just think you can't really, as a makeup lover, look at this and not salivate slightly, can you? Maybe you can, but I can't. So in here we have 3 matte blushes on the bottom row, and then we have 3 shimmery blushes or highlighters depending on your skin tone on the top row. Highly, like, we're not having the Jouer problem here, highly pigmented, stunning blushes. And I will say, personally, these are not, apart from this shade right here, these are not really my blush shades. It is rather pink overall, this little palette, but of course that is, I mean, this is like my nightmare when it comes to blush. Okay, that is, both of those shades are so pink, but this little number, which is this shade here, this is the shade I used in my Makeup and Movies. Again, if you want to see this in action, it's like my dream blush shade. So nightmare, dream, not really sure is where we're at with this palette. The finish is stunning. So I love that one blush shade. Is this something that would be sensible for me to purchase? Out of the 6, I'm only really going to wear this shade. No, but that is my personal preference, and the formulas are beautiful. These are always gorgeous. It just depends on your personal preference, the shades you like to wear, your skin tone. I think this would be most suited to a tanned and deeper skin tone, because you'll end up with something much more versatile. You've got gorgeous blushes and highlighters in a range of shades, whereas if you're fairer, there's nothing in here that's going to be a highlighter. Everything is going to be a blush, and it's going to be a bit scary and intimidating to use because a lot of them are really rich. So I think it's amazing to see a blush palette from Nars that is most suited to deeper skin tones, because usually that's not the case. I love this blush and I've been wearing it a lot, but I personally wouldn't purchase this blush palette for myself because the shades are just not my personal preference. It's quite pink overall, but I have been using and loving this specific shade, and I think the packaging is stunning. The lipstick they sent me is the shade Blame. I love this. Again, the packaging is absolutely gorgeous. I feel like it doesn't do it justice on camera because it's very hard to show the pattern on the bullet. I'll try, but I don't think the camera can do it justice. Can you see it? I'm not sure. I feel like it's so much prettier in person. It's gorgeous. Very wintry, very festive. The shade is just the ultimate wearable peachy nude. Again, I did use this in my video so you can see it in action. So pretty, so wearable. I've been loving it. I do like Nars's satin formula lipsticks, and this is just a perfect everyday shade. So pretty, gorgeous. So the lipstick is one I've worn a lot, and I have worn that one blush from the blush palette a lot, but of course if I had purchased it for myself that would make it a big fail if I only like one out of the 6. And finally, these two new palettes from Viseart. I'm wearing both of these on my eyes. You may have been wondering, why do you have 2 completely different eyeshadow looks? Probably you weren't, you just knew Charlotte, she's up to something, and I am. But I did just now, moments ago in fact, film my 2 eye looks with these brand new palettes from Viseart. We have Violette Nocturne Etendu, which is Etendu refers to this size, these travel friendly palettes, and then we have Sireneuse Nocturne Etendu, which is the more greeny side. So I have only used both of these palettes one time, swatched them, and used quite a few shadows in each for my review, which I guess would have gone up before you're seeing this, so you may have already seen it. I love Viseart shadows. I love their palettes. I love the palette size. I love their color stories. I love that they make their shadows so they are impactful and beautiful, and you feel like satisfied when you finish that you really will love the look without it being super blindingly intense like on a Pat McGrath Danessa Myricks level, because it gives you something different and special that's uber pretty without it being a bit much for like the office or the school run, if you see what I mean. That's how I feel about them. I feel like they're uber wearable. The combinations are endless and everything works seamlessly and effortlessly together, but it makes it wearable for every single day. My favourite, as I said in my review, is the Sireneuse Nocturne. These earthy tones with greens and khakis is just right up my street. I feel like there's so many options in here, especially because you have some pinkier tones as well. You've got some lovely neutral transitional shades, which really just gives you more options as far as what you use on the lid without you having to use greens, otherwise, you know, it looks off. It's got a brow art shade, an inner corner pop. It's got 6 shimmers, six mattes. It's just everything that I love about my palettes. The Violette palette I also really like, and I really love the look that I came up with today, but there are only 3 shimmers in here and 9 mattes, so I prefer to have more shimmers, and I just prefer my greens over my sort of these beautiful dusky mauves, which I do really like, but I am just a green kind of girl. Just call me Alphaba. Don't, because that's not my name, so I won't know who you're talking to, but you get the idea. It's Wicked season after all. The 2 drawbacks of these palettes, if you held my arm behind my back, are that they don't have, once you get rid of the external box, you don't have the shade names anywhere, and also there's no mirror. So bear that in mind. Those are 2 things that slightly irritate me about these little palettes. I wish especially that they had a mirror, so just bear that in mind, especially if you're thinking these are perfect for travel, which they are, but you will need something with a mirror. If you need one. Who's doing eyeshadow with no mirror? I'd love to know. Like, what's your secrets? And there you have it. Those are my November faves, fails, and everything in between. Please let me know what were your favourites and fails from the month of November in the comments section down below. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.